Welcome to Smart Living. I'm Daphne Monroe, and sitting right next to me is Bogi. Now, if you know anything about cars, this woman has been in the Valley for quite a few years when it comes to basically fixing cars. I mean, you're like a lady mechanic, basically.
I am.
And you used to have a mechanic shop here near 7th Avenue in Camelback. What was that called?
I did. It was called 180 Degrees Automotive, or 180 Auto for short.
180 Auto for short. I love it. So I want to know, now being the fact that you are a female mechanic, now there's many more things to you, Bogi. So, but I really want to, that's the thing that interested me is I'm like, I don't know nothing about cars. It's a foreign thing and I have no interest of learning it. I actually hate spending money on cars, but I want to.
Nobody likes spending money on cars.
Right, but I want to know, like, what in Lord's name would a woman want to do working in, first of all, a very dominant male field and something that's greasy and dirty? What got you interested in it?
You know, shockingly, it's not as greasy and dirty as it used to be. So that's just a minor point of clarification. Cars these days are like so computer controlled. It is literally like we are driving computers on wheels these days. So it's not as greasy and dirty as it used to be.
Okay.
I promise you. But it is. I was actually the kid who liked to play in dirt.
Okay. You did, huh?
I don't have a problem with the greasy and dirty part of it. But anyway, really what got me into it. So in the automotive industry, women make up less than 2% of all automotive tradespeople, automotive technicians. And so what got me into it initially was I was 16 years old. I got my first car. It was a piece of crap. And it broke a lot. And I was this little 16-year-old feminist girl who, like, I didn't like that feeling when I brought my car in for service, and I felt vulnerable. I felt like I was at risk of being taken advantage of. Whether or not I was actually being taken advantage of was kind of besides the point. It was like I felt like I was going to be.
Because you didn't know anything.
Because I didn't know anything. And I think women deal with that a lot in any of these kind of male-dominated industries where they're very tech-heavy or where there's a lot of, like, words that we don't know, is the I don't understand this, therefore I must be getting taken advantage of.
Right.
And sometimes you are. Most of the time you're not, and it's just that you're intimidated by it and it's scary. So I got into it because I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I felt like I was vulnerable, so I decided I wanted to learn about cars. And then I got a lot of pushback. I got a lot of people saying I didn't belong, I wasn't supposed to, I shouldn't, I didn't, it wasn't a good path for me. And I was one of those stubborn little kids. The more you tell me I can't do something, the more I want to do it.
That's exactly right.
And so it really honestly started out as a proving of a point. I got into it to make a point, to prove something. What I realized through it was that I was really proving to myself that I could do it, not so much everybody else. I thought intellectually it was about proving to everybody else. Internally, it was really proving to myself. And then I fell in love with it, kind of despite myself. I very unintentionally fell in love with working on cars. I fell in love with that empowerment and that sense of satisfaction that you get out of doing something yourself, taking something broken and fixing it. I was in academia for a long time, and that is very much like projects that never end.
Right.
Like you're never finished with that research paper.
No.
You're never finished saving the world. You're never done.
Right.
But fixing a car was this tangible, tactile, it came in broken. I figured out what was wrong with it. I fixed it. Now it's driving away. Like, there's nothing like that sense of satisfaction.
I just had this amazing epiphany. Not to make it about me, but I just want to share with you something. First of all, that's profound that you said that. And so I used to own a computer shop, and we talked about that. And I used to build computers, not the software aspect. I like the hardware. And that was what it was. It was the satisfaction of people would come in with their broken computers, and I fixed it. Like, it was such a natural high and such a accomplishment. Like, it's not even about the money. It's about fixing it. It's a very black and white world. It's broken. Bye. It's fixed.
It's broken. It's fixed.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
And I think that's the joy of doing anything with your hands. And I think what's really cool for me is that I learned that once I got over my fear of cars, that like big piece of metal and plastic that we all think is so scary. Once I got over that and realized it all breaks down into systems, right? Computers scare me, right? But they're easy to you, right? Because you broke it down into systems and processes.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
You're able to figure it out.
Yeah, but that computers aren't greasy.
Okay,
it's the grease.
Let's take the grease out of it.
Okay.
And just talk about the process.
It's true.
It's bolting, unbolting. It's taking things apart and putting them back together again. And all of these systems are breakdownable. Everything is figure-outable. You can put it into terms that you do understand. And once you realize that everything can be broken down into systems and components that somebody put together, which means you can take it apart and put it back together again, the world becomes less scary. Because after I got over the fear of that, then it wasn't scary to get up on my roof and fix a loose shingle. It wasn't scary to fix a leaky faucet. It wasn't scary to patch drywall, because it all became like, well, it's all just like it's all just parts and pieces. If I can do this, I can do that. And that is really where my passion has kind of come from, to teach other women.
So it's the satisfaction of fixing something.
It's the satisfaction of fixing,
That's
of
such a
building
controlling thing.
and making and doing and knowing that you can. And when you teach other people how to do that, when you teach people that something that they thought was scary isn't so scary after all, then it becomes, okay, well, what else in your life might not be as scary as you thought it was? What else in your life is going to actually be a whole lot easier than you thought it was going to be, and that you too can do?
Girl, you should be a life coach. That's fantastic. I love that. No, really. I mean, it's true, because that is one of the reasons why. So, you and I, we do have some similarities, but we just went about things.
Different path.
Right, but I'm like, computers. I love to fix computers. You love to fix cars. The grease I don't like. And then also, we both have, dabbled in real estate. We both have rental properties, and I manage my rental properties. You manage yours. Now, I bet you probably do a lot more repairs than I do.
Maybe.
And sometimes, and that's the thing, is like when certain things break, immediately I feel vulnerable. Yeah. Because I don't know how to fix it. I'm dependent on somebody else to solve it, and I hate that feeling. That's huge.
And every once in a while, I'm dependent as well, like when the air conditioning goes, right? Because I don't mess with like bigger things like that. And it is vulnerable, and it feels awful, and I hate it, because most things I know I can figure out. What I have learned, though, and I try to encourage other people to do, is like, it's just about asking the questions, right? Like, when you feel vulnerable, ask, be curious, ask the questions. You're going to find out two things. Right? You're going to find out if the service provider that you're working with is honest and has integrity, because if they are honest and have integrity, they're going to be excited to explain to you.
Okay.
Because they love what they're doing, and they're like, ooh, let me show you. Let me tell you
And
what
that's
this
a
is all
good-
about. And that's how you know you found a good person. If they're not willing to take 5 minutes to explain to you what a thingamabobber valve is, they're not a good service provider. Go somewhere else, right? Also, you're going to understand it better, and it's going to feel less vulnerable, and it's just a better situation all the way around. So just ask the questions. Be curious.
Okay, so you got this car at 16.
sorry.
You taught yourself. No, this is all great. I mean, don't apologize about anything. This is great content.
Total
that you're
ADD,
saying.
baby.
No,
And I'm like,
no,
squirrel, let me go chase it. Okay.
You know what? I think of Smart Living Podcast as it's a conversation to talk about and learn about how people have made smart choices about their life. And this is exactly what you're doing for our audience. So thank you for that.
Okay.
So you totally explained thoroughly your philosophy, why you got into it. But I want to hear a little bit more about the intrinsics of it. So when you're 16, so what was like the first thing that you fixed in a car that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it? And I'm assuming, I don't want to date you too far, but technology is a big thing with cars. So back when you started, I'm assuming that everything wasn't on computers.
Correct. My first car was an old car. So I bought a 1974 Volkswagen Bug for
Sweet baby.
$500 of my
Oh my
hard-earned
God.
babysitting and lawn mowing money, because my parents were very opposed to the idea of me owning a Volkswagen Bug. So,
So you did it anyways. Here
I
we go.
did.
That's how you started, Miss Independent.
Yeah, tell me I can't.
Right,
I
right.
will show you I can.
Yeah.
I plopped myself down in high school auto shop. And I started learning immediately. I wound up completely restoring my entire bug from the ground up. So what happened was, I started wanting to learn more about my bug, because I felt vulnerable. So I was like, all right, I feel vulnerable. The way to fix vulnerability is to educate. Educate yourself, learn the things. So started reading Volkswagen magazines. It was the mid-90s, so the only time women showed up in Volkswagen magazines was in
pictures.
high heels and bikinis.
Isn't it still that way?
It's getting better.
Okay.
It is getting better. But I was like, oh, well, this is BS. I'm going to restore my own bug, and then I'm going to have a hot, naked dude pose in front of it.
Yes!
That was my little 16-year-old
I love
brain.
it. Oh my God, that's
That
totally
part-
the way I thought. That's
that
totally
part
the way I
never
thought.
happened.
I was like, put him in a little bikini. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's sexualize
Yeah,
him.
let's turn the tables
That's
here,
right.
So, so I did. I wound up restoring my bug entirely. Kind of got inspired by these magazines and that whole thing, and so I did all of the stuff. But I do very clearly remember like my first repair on the bug before I restored it. Before I did all of that, it started running like crap. More like crap than it normally runs because it's a Volkswagen bug. They're 4 cylinders, right?
Yep.
And it was running like absolute crap, and it turns out it was running on only 3 cylinders because one of the spark plugs had blown out of the side of the engine, which was a thing that Volkswagen engines used to do.
Okay.
I had maybe a month of high school auto shop under my belt, so I was like, ooh, I'm gonna figure this out.
But you knew what was wrong with it.
I didn't yet.
Okay.
I remember opening up the trunk on the side of the car thinking I was all cool because I was like,
You're like, I don't know what this is.
and there's this like thing sitting on the side of my engine compartment, and I was like, what is that? I don't think that belongs there.
It doesn't look right.
And I didn't really understand what it was, but that was such a powerful lesson too, is that I want people looking under their hoods. I want people like open your cupboards and look at how your plumbing is set up. Look at how things are put together and how they come apart, because even if you don't know what the heck you're looking at, like in that moment, I did not yet know what a spark plug was. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it wasn't sitting there the last time I looked at it.
Okay.
And so that's the biggest thing, is like, if it looks different than it did the last time you looked at it, now you have a direction to go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Like that. Something's not right there. This was
not right.
attached to this. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first repair.
Oh my
Was
gosh.
putting the spark plug back in.
So
And then it ran fine.
Did you sell the bug?
No, I still have it.
Wait, what?
I do.
You're kidding me.
I might be a little sentimental, so I couldn't.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
From 16 years old, that bug must be worth so much money.
No, now it's worth absolute crap because I have neglected it. Never buy a car from a car mechanic, by the way.
I know, right?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
True.
People think that that's a good thing. Don't do it. Yeah,
Right.
because we know what we can get away with.
Yeah.
We know what we can ignore. It's not good. So, no, I restored my little bug. I drove it cross country. Somebody offered me like $15,000 for it in like 2000, and I should have taken it.
Right?
But I was like, this is my baby. I rebuilt this with my own 2 hands. Like, there is no way I am selling this. And then it sat and it got neglected. And now
It's still
Arizona
sitting.
heat, and it's still sitting. It's in front of my shop
Are
on
you
flat tires. And the paint is all peeling. And it's so sad. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh, my poor baby.
So what are you going to do with it? You want to
One
sell it to me?
day.
I got $500.
You're cute.
Yeah.
No, I've held on to it this long. I am
Hence the
selling
name
it.
Smart Shopper, always trying to make some money, girl, or save it somehow.
That would be a money throwaway if you bought that.
That really is kind of cool that you still have the car. That is super cool.
One day I'll restore it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so you did that, and then you're telling me that you went to this really cool liberal arts college.
I did.
In the East Coast. So you grew up in the East Coast, so New York, New Jersey
Northeast,
area.
yeah.
If you haven't figured it out from both of our attitudes, we are kind of like New Yorkers in one way or another. You can hear it in our voices.
Yeah, you can take the girl out of New York, but you can't take New York out of the girl.
That's totally true. So you decided to come here. Now you had a mechanic repair shop.
I did.
And I remember because when I worked at Channel 3 way back in the day, I remember watching you on TV. I'm like, oh my God, that's like a girl mechanic. It was really cool. You're like a unicorn to me. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So I admire that tremendously.
Thank you. I
Because it's something I can't do.
I mean, you could if you wanted to.
Okay, it's something I choose not to.
There we go. That's better. See, I like that. You got to make that distinction. It's not that you can't. It's that you choose not to.
Yeah, there's not enough of an interest to get into it that much.
Yeah.
But the basics I want to know. Well, I'm going to ask you about that. But so what I'm trying to get to is I'm trying to figure out, so what are you doing now? You used to have your store. You sold off that or your repair shop, but you said you do classes, because I know there's a lot of people that probably want to find you and maybe use your services in some way.
So I had a general repair shop. I sold that 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
I started another shop, which is not really open to the public as far as general repairs go. It's called Girl Gang Garage, and what we do there, I teach monthly car care classes. You can find us on Eventbrite or on our website or social media. So once a month, I teach a basic car care class where a group of up to 10 women can come in and learn the basics: how to change a tire, how to check your fluids, how to talk to a service provider, how to ask the right questions so you don't get taken advantage of, kind of basics of how your brake systems work, all sorts of just basics.
Oh my
and then
God,
under the
this
hood,
is
checking your
fantastic.
fluids, this, that, and the other thing.
Bogi, I didn't know you're doing this. So can I ask you a question? Because I am the smart shopper, and I always ask, how much does it cost? I mean, everybody that goes out is like, you're so embarrassed that you always ask. But I do, because I just want to know, like, you know.
I keep it really cheap. I think we just raised it to $25 a person for 3 hours.
Are you serious? That's way too cheap.
And it is way too cheap. But the barriers of entry for women learning about automotive stuff are already too high. There's already too many things in the way of women learning about automotive. I want to keep those barriers of entry as low as possible. So I rely on sponsors, I rely on donations, we rely on the kindness of the community to like help keep us doing this passion project and keeping the cost really low for women. Literally the only reason I charge at all for the car care classes is because people will sign up and then not show up if there's no money on the line.
Okay.
So the money,
accountability.
Yeah, the money is strictly accountability.
I love it.
It really is. And I've been teaching car care classes for 25 some odd years. So
Okay.
It's always been one of my passions.
So can I take a class? And I'm more than happy to pay your $25 fee, which I'm going to just like throw in an extra 25 for somebody else. Because I want to learn, because you are inspiring to me. Like, you're making me kind of want to be interested. But I think like the basic things. So talking about your car care class. Okay, so let's talk about that. So you do the class, and then what else do you do?
So we do the classes, and then I'm really passionate about, obviously, women and cars. And so I'm passionate about two things. One, getting more women into working on cars.
I'm going to move this just a little bit closer to you because you're so petite, girl.
Sorry.
This mic. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm really passionate about kind of two things. Getting more women into working on automotive. So working with their hands, and whether it's cars or other things, right? Just getting them over their fear of working on cars and building and fixing and making things with their own two hands.
Yeah.
And then I'm also really passionate about keeping women within the trades, because what we find is that there's less than 2% of women, less than 2% of all auto mechanics are women. A lot of the women who get into the trades get in and then leave because it's intense. It becomes too much. They're like, I don't love it enough to put up with all the whatever. And so a lot of like the way to fix that, I believe, that retention element is connecting them with each other and helping them find their community. So at Girl Gang Garage, we do these workshops and classes and opportunities for women to get hands-on tools, but then we also do these large-scale all-female builds that are designed to connect women in the trades to each other, give them an opportunity to work together, work on a project together, meet one another, and then build their network of other women that become their support system as they go back into their life.
That's fantastic. Well, and that's how I met you, was Vivian has done that with you, our mutual friend.
She's done 2, 3, I think she did all 3 of our all-female builds, actually. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you're also on YouTube too, like you stream.
I'm on YouTube. I'm not so great on my personal YouTube. I'm very hit or miss with that. But I do have a podcast series on YouTube called With Her Two Hands. Where we celebrate women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round with their own two hands.
And that's every week.
That is every week, every Wednesday.
Okay. And listen, if you guys are listening in and you want to find her, I know she mentioned these things quickly, but you can head to my blog at smartshopperdaphne.com, where I'll have all the links and stuff like that, so you guys can get a hold of Bogi. Because this is a great resource to our community. I mean, I'm really going to promote this 3-hour class. So maybe we'll get you might actually have to have some more. So I love that's great.
I'm totally game.
So you're very busy doing all these different things. Plus you also, you also a renter. You have rental properties.
I do.
And you work on those yourself also.
I do. I have rental properties, work on those myself. I'm also a avid crocheter. I do a little television where I teach people how to work on cars. I've been done about 13 years of being on TV as an automotive TV host. But really, I love anything, right? People laugh at me when I say crochet. It's the same satisfaction.
Yeah, it's...
Right? Like I took a ball of yarn and I made it into a blanket. Or I took a piece of metal and I made it into a fender. Or I took engine parts and I made it into a running engine. It's all the same sense of satisfaction.
It's a start to a finish. You're fixing a problem or creating something.
I did a thing.
Yeah.
Right? And being a smart shopper, being a smart liver, like all of those things, it all comes down to curiosity and asking the question.
So, okay, well, let me ask you a question here. So tell me some ways, Miss Do-It-Yourself, that you save money. Or no, here's a better question. What is a repair that you feel that people waste money on that they should do themselves? How's that for a money saving tip?
Ooh,
I know that's a tough one.
Fantastic question.
And if you can't think of one, that's okay.
So air filters are a super easy thing on most cars. Some are challenging. Air filters are totally something you can do yourself. I think brakes really are something that most people could do themselves.
Really?
However, they are like the most important thing that your car does is stop.
Okay.
So if you're gonna do it, do it the first time with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Okay.
But more importantly, to be a smart car owner, if you're not the person who wants to learn all about cars and really do all the work yourself, because cars today are very complicated, and it is very easy to get in over your head, and it's very easy to do more harm than good.
Right.
Because our cars have more control modules than the first space shuttle. Our cars are literally computers on wheels. Like, they are insanely complicated, and you can F stuff up real easily. More importantly is preventative maintenance is always cheaper than repair. So while nobody loves spending money on the things, we call them the no-see repairs, right?
Don't get me started on tires. Every guest on my podcast hears about me and my tires.
Tires are the most underappreciated part of your car. They are what connect you to the ground. And only a small part of it is connected to the ground at any given point. It's little.
It costs too much money, these tires.
I know, but I would rather drive a shitty car. Am I allowed to curse? Sorry.
Yes, you absolutely can. Do whatever you want,
I would
girl.
rather drive an absolutely awful car with amazing tires than drive an amazing car with crappy tires. Because tires make all the difference in the world.
I know.
How well you brake, how well you accelerate, how well you handle, how well you take turns. It is everything. But preventative maintenance, I call them the no-see repairs because you don't feel the difference, right? You go in for an oil change and you're
you get nothing out of it.
It doesn't feel
There's
any
no
different.
satisfaction there except for your wallet's less full.
But I equate preventative maintenance, like oil changes and things like that, to brushing your teeth.
Yeah. Going to the gynecologist, getting your mammogram.
I'd rather see you brush your teeth once too many times than once too few. And brushing your teeth may not actually feel very rewarding, but it avoids getting cavities, which really sucks.
Right,
and cavities are way more expensive than brushing your teeth. So just brush your teeth. And change your oil.
It hurts a lot more.
Yes.
It hurts a lot more.
It'll always be cheaper in the long run. The coolant services, the engine oil changes, the transmission fluid service, when you bring your car in for that oil service and they come back with that laundry list of things that says you need to do all of this work, don't think of that as, oh my God, they're trying to upsell me. Think of that as your annual physical. Okay. If you go into a doctor and they felt a lump and didn't tell you about it, you would be suing their pants off, right?
Right, yeah, that's true.
So if you go into the car mechanic, the car doctor, and you are going for your annual physical and they go through the laundry list of things that they found, that's their job.
Yeah.
Is to let you know about all the things that are going wrong with your car before they get so bad that they leave you on the side of the road or they cost too much money.
It always puts me in a bad mood. But you're totally right.
Of course it does.
I come out, I'm like, I'm in a bad mood now.
But
why did you tell me this?
Think of it like a doctor.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
We are the car doctors, and our job is to give you a state of health of your car.
Right, true. And another way that I always tell people, so like if you have a car that's paid for, I always say, listen, if you've got to put $5,000 a year into your car, and that's being excessive on repairs, you're way ahead of the game. I mean, my gosh, new cars cost so much money.
They do.
Yep. I mean, your car payment's going to be $700 a month.
My math calculation is always, if you add up all of the repairs that you do over the course of a year, if you broke that down into 12 monthly payments, if it's still significantly less than what a payment would be, then you're fine.
That's the math.
And because to compare it to like, I could buy another used car. Well, no, because then that's inheriting somebody else's problems. Yeah, that is exactly right. People don't sell perfectly good cars. Right. People sell cars with problems. It's true. And so you're going to have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 worth of repairs on this car. It's the same as putting $3-4 into your car and making it like new.
Right, unless you just want to drive something different.
Like, if you have the money and you want something fun, heck yeah, go for it. All the more power to you.
Yeah, right? I get bored of cars quickly. That's the problem. So, but I'm into this electric vibe thing. I'm enjoying that because I don't like stopping to get gas. So that's like kind of cool. I just have to plug in. But listen, Bogi, I'm going to wrap this up. Okay. So thank you so much for coming on. I absolutely want to have you on again. This was fantastic, and there's so much more to this woman. I mean, I just enjoyed meeting her and talking to her. We've been sitting here chatting before we actually recorded for like a good hour and a half getting to know each other. So she's amazing, Bogi. It is so great to know you. And by the way, gentlemen, any of you that are in the market, this is a dynamic, gorgeous, stunning, full of life, and incredibly intelligent and independent woman. So there you go. If you guys want more information, where to find Bogi or where to take those classes, just head over to my blog at smartshopperdaphne.com and have a fantastic weekend. And don't forget, I'm Daphne Monroe, your smart shopper.